Good afternoon and welcome. My name is John. I am Orphan Car Garage and I'm located in Abington, Massachusetts, which is about 30 minutes south of Boston. We're on a roll with these cars lately. I may as well just keep the ball rolling. If you didn't check out my video late last week on the 65 Tahitian Turquoise Corvair Coupe, I suggest you do that. That's probably one of the prettiest 1965 Corvairs available anywhere. That car is currently still available. Check it out on my website. Check it out on YouTube here. Absolutely stunning. Equally nice is this 1965 model Corvair with a soft top. This is a convertible. Last week's was a coupe. We may as well just keep the Corvair ball rolling here. This is a one-owner car. One owner. Mr. Nelson from Cromwell, Connecticut purchased this car in August of 1965 and just recently gave up ownership of it. He is the only registered owner of this car. So you are looking at a one-owner 1965 Corvair Monza convertible. Not only is it a Corvair Monza convertible, but it's probably arguably one of the better color combinations you could get over and above that Tahitian turquoise one that I profiled last week. This is ermine white with a red bucket seat interior. It doesn't get much better than that from the 1960s convertible. It's absolutely perfect in my eyes. White with a red interior. We just don't see red interiors anymore in cars. Everything's so dull. Mr. Nelson babied this car from day one. We can't find any evidence of any major rust or collision repair on this car. I have some documentation. I have the original dealer invoice from when Mr. Nelson bought it. And this car was lightly restored by him towards the end of his ownership. This paint is a repaint of the original ermine white, and it was very nicely applied. I can find little, if any, flaws in this paint at all. Very, very nicely done. Nice chrome, nice bezels. Very, very nicely sorted. Again, like the coupe I profiled last week, that emblem is in excellent shape. Notoriously, that red fades over time. This goes to show you how well this car was cared for and probably garaged its entire life. I don't see why it wouldn't have been, being that it was a Connecticut car. And New England cars didn't hold up this well being left outside. So that's a true testament to this car's care and garaging. So, one quick note on this while I'm at it. 1965 was the only year that was red. 1966 through 1969, that would be blue. Kind of a telltale sign when you see a late model Corvair coming at you down the road that it's a 1965, because that emblem is colored red. Speaking of red, this interior is brand new. These seat covers are exact reproductions of the originals supplied by Clark's Corvair Parts here in Massachusetts. As is that carpet, as is those reproduction floor mats, and as is this boot. No expense was spared at the cosmetic restoration of this one-owner car. I believe the door panels and the quarter panels are still original, as is the uncracked dash pad. You'll see the car has a power glide automatic transmission. That was one of very few options that this car does have on it. Secondly, you'll notice that it has the optional 110 horsepower engine. While we're at it back here, I'll open the lid. It's a very nicely sorted engine bay, very clean. A recent belt, carburetor rebuild. Not too old of a tune-up. We just changed the oil. The original jacking instructions are still affixed to the insulation on the quarter panel. That was factory. Also factory, you'll notice it still has the original drain holes for the original Delco battery. Many times these battery trays are rotted away in Corvairs. This one is in still fine condition. Looks like that insulation was probably replaced at the time the car was painted with a correct, again, Clark's Corvair Parts reproduction. According to the original invoice and the data plate in the engine bay, and I have a picture of that on my website, this car left the factory with just a few options like I mentioned prior. One of those being the automatic transmission, another one being that upgraded 110 horsepower engine. The standard on this car would have been a 95 horsepower engine. The car also has a padded dash, which was an option, a comfort and convenience group A, which includes 2-speed windshield wipers with washers, a day-night inside mirror, and backup lights, and also an outside mirror. Things that we take for granted today, you had to pay extra for. That's the correct mirror with the bow tie on it, by the way. The car also is equipped, and it's stated as so on the original invoice that we have from Mr. Nelson, with a push-button AM radio, and that radio works. However, that's not a factory Chevy Corvair radio. That is what I would call a dealer-installed radio. They are the correct knobs, the correct bezel, but it says Motorola solid state. So that would have been a dealer-installed radio. So it's presumed that this car left the factory as a radio delete car, which is rather unusual for a convertible. And then Mr. Nelson asked the dealer in Connecticut to install one, and it works. I'll play it for you when we start the car up. The car, again, is very, very straight, very, very solid. Beautiful undercarriage, beautiful trunk. I got pictures of all that on my website, orphancargarage.com. All the places that are common to corrode on these cars is not, and doesn't appear to ever have been on this car. I won't claim that this car is 100% perfect, but it's extremely nice. And we're going to price it very reasonably too. I'll get to that in a minute. One last walk around here before I start the car for you. Nice chrome. Emblems. That lower valance is in nice condition. 3-prong spinner wheel covers, which would be correct for this car. The underside of the windshield is very nice. I don't know if you can hear that rooster over there. I don't know what's going on back there. It's a residential neighborhood, and the guy runs a excavation company out of his backyard. His kids have a motorcycle motocross back there, and now I'm hearing roosters. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. Let me get in the car and start it up for you. Car runs very nice. We've driven this car quite a bit on the highway and otherwise. There are really no issues to speak of. There's a plate here that says the car was specifically made for Alan Nelson. Now, I've never seen that in a Corvair. I don't know if the dealer maybe did that for him back in '65, or maybe Mr. Nelson added it himself. I don't think that's a GM thing, but it's pretty cool, and his name matches all the paperwork that we have for the car. Now, everything works. There's the radio.
Somerset list is your food.
The radio works, although there is a broken preset button right here. The heater works, the fan works on all 3 speeds. The wipers work. Now it's 2-speed. That's the low, and that's the high. Not much of a difference. I've seen them go faster, so just take that into consideration. 2 speeds, really like 1.5 speeds. And all the lights work. This car should have no problem passing inspection. A little bit of discoloration here on the original door panel. I tried to clean that as best I could, but it's just permanently discolored, I think. If that bothered you, you could get a couple of door panels from Clark's Corvair parts. I think they're about $75 a piece, but they're original. Nice running 110 horsepower engine. No crazy smoke, no crazy tapping noises. Nice running car. Corvairs are a lot of fun. They're generally very easy to work on, but I like people to know that they are a little quirky and they're a little different. They're a little unconventional, and that's what makes them so special. I request people before buying a Corvair, especially if they've never owned one before, to kind of check out their local club scene. And there's a huge amount of support out there for these cars, but you want to find the right people. If you break down on Main Street and you pull into a Sunoco station, those guys won't even know the engine's in the back. So you really want to, if you're not mechanical yourself, you want to familiarize yourself with your local Corvair clubs. They're great, great people. I've been involved with the Corvair club since I was in my mid-teens, and they're just a great, great group of people. A lot of them I consider now over the years is almost family. So the cars are the cars, but the people are even better sometimes. But you want to get to know those people, because you don't want to be stuck trying to fix one of these if you don't know what you're doing. They're not hard to work on. Parts are very readily available, especially through that Clark's Corvair parts right here in Massachusetts. You'd be very surprised. I get that a lot. Where do you get parts? Parts for this car are easier to get than most other cars that I have or have sold. You'd be amazed. So, enough talking. I'm starting to get out of breath here. This beautiful 1965 ermine white Corvair Monza convertible, orphan car garage, reasonable pricing, as always, $15,900. $15,900 for this nicely restored one owner Corvair convertible. You couldn't restore this car for what we're asking. I always tell people, buy them done. You're much better off. Plus, you can start having fun on day one. Forgot to mention, but I'm going to now before I hang up, there's a brand new convertible top on this car as well. It's black. Pictures of that top up on my website, orphancargarage.com. Check it out, the gallery of photos. Subscribe to us here. You never know. This is the last Corvair I have to show you for now. That may change, or I may not have another one for several months. It's kind of how it runs around here. They kind of run in spurts. So if you pass on this one, I don't know when I'm going to get another one. Give me a shout, 508-954-8090. Again, check me out on the web, orphancargarage.com. Check out our Google reviews. They're all positive. And this is not an easy business to keep positive reviews with, believe me. So I work very hard at that, and I think that'll show. Subscribe to me here on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for the support.